Everyone.
Afternoon.
Before I begin, I know we just had a break, but once we get into this tail end, can everybody just take my quick stretch break? One more. Mr. Clark. All right, I know how it gets in the afternoon, so we're going to make it. Before I begin, I just want to introduce my visitors that I did not know were coming. Y'all saying, but I didn't. Mr. Clark was actually going to do the PowerPoint, and my principal supports me so much that she decided to send an entourage over. So bless her for that. But we have here today Mr. Curry. He's a STEM teacher at our school. Mr. Rashawn Williams in the back, she's a language arts teacher. And Ms. DeAndrea Sams, who is a 6th grade math teacher. And this is pretty much my team of people who I work with to put this project together. So without them, I wouldn't have been able to do all this work. So my leadership project revolved around Module 3, which was the standards-based instructional systems. Does anybody recall what they are? I hear laughter.
Of course they do.
So we have our vision, our clear and high standards, fair assessments, curriculum framework, aligned instruction, instructional materials, safety nets, professional development, and most importantly, leadership. So I looked at the Module 3 work, and I want to mesh that along with an area of concern or area of weakness at our school, and align that with the leadership project. So what I did initially, go ahead. My initial vision was to ensure that the entire math department at Isaac Gourdine Middle School focus on the standards-based instructional systems. Now, I would have been crazy to try to do that. And through a lot of discussion and some reading, you hit the next step. Grade by Choice, which is the Dr. Maxwell's book that he's recommending that we all read. In that book, it referenced firing bullets as opposed to shooting cannonballs. So I initially attempted to shoot a big, gigantic cannonball by trying to do the whole math department. So I had to back my steps up a little bit and start firing bullets and try to find what's the best avenue for me to approach. So the new vision, the Isaac Gourdine 6th grade math department will focus on standards-based instructional systems. The purpose is to monitor our 6th grade math students, and I chose the 6th grade math students again because as they come in as 6th graders, they come in high, and then they drop. They drop. So our data for the school year 11-12, 83% of our 6th graders were proficient in advanced, but they dropped to 75% proficient in advanced. In the school year 2012-2013, 85% proficient in advanced, but they dropped down to 80% proficient in advanced, and that's a problem. So I wanted to make sure that we get to that root cause, because as I talk about later with the frames, in terms of political frames, we're being looked at and we're being questioned in terms of, well, TIAC sent you their best. You have the best elementary school students, and so what's happening? Why are they dropping? My goal, or our goal, is again to incorporate standards-based systems in order to increase the 6th grade student achievement. Our objectives, and there were quite a few when we sat down and came up with these. We wanted to develop a clear understanding of Common Core standards. We wanted to utilize formative and summative assessments. We wanted to integrate safety nets, ensuring that we reach not only those students who are struggling in 6th grade, but we also address those kids who are almost at the cusp of becoming advanced students. We want to create an innovative collaborative planning. So instead of just sitting out and planning lessons, which is fine, we wanted to figure out what each math teacher was doing in their classrooms and how can we take away what they're doing to make our practice better. So what we did was we videotaped certain parts of math instruction. We came back to collaborative planning. We displayed the individual whose turn it was, and then everyone would give a praise, a polish, and then some sort of question that they had. So this process took some time, and but it was well worth the work. We also use technology as a primary instructional material. We implemented classroom focus improvement process, thank you, Angela Hamilton, and as well as the ALPS data continuum. We pursued opportunities for professional development as well, and I'll discuss that. Our statement of needs included to maintain the proficiency level amongst the 6th grade students, to increase mathematical comprehension. What we discovered through the work is that a lot of the kids, it wasn't that they didn't know the math, they didn't understand the verbiage. So automatically, they don't know the vocabulary, they're in deep trouble. We also wanted to give improvement engagement in classroom activities, and we want to, of course, have gains on our state assessments. Our action steps and timelines. So, with our data continuum that we learned in ALPS Module 7, we talked about the continuum, and we started with having the students set goals for the 3rd quarter. So each of Ms. Sam's students set a personal goal in which they were to attain for that period of time. We distributed perception surveys so that Ms. Sam's had a true understanding of what the kids understood, what they did not understand, and etc. The students participated in a pre-assessment, because if we don't know where they are, we can't get them those supports. We sat down and reviewed the pre-assessment results. From that point, we created groupings based on their ability level. We gave a mid-assessment midway through. We regrouped the students based off of their performance ability. So if some students were performing a little bit better, we gave them more challenging instruction. Integration of reading strategies. Again, those students, if they don't understand the questions that are being asked, they're going to struggle. So we had to implement close reads, we had to implement vocabulary, and etc. And then at the end of the game, we gave them a post-assessment. And here's Ms. Sam's. Now, here's a quick fun. You see the date up there? It says April the 8th. That's today. They had to do it over, so I just wanted to share that with you.
I wouldn't even know.
Did you do it over?
Hi, my name is Ms. Sams. I'm currently a teacher at Isaac J. Gordine, where I teach 6th and 8th grade math. Prior to coming to Maryland, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, where I taught 5th grade, 6th grade, and 8th grade math. 8th grade being my grade level of choice. Education has always been a very important part of my life. I graduated high school in the top 10% of my class. After graduating, I went on to college where I received my bachelor's in education and my master's in counseling. Education wasn't my first career of choice, but I did eventually fall in love with it. So if I had to talk about my teaching philosophy, it would revolve around 3 things. 1, I believe that every child has the ability to learn. 2, only thing in this world constant is change. And with the implementation of Common Core, that is what everyone is being asked to do. And 3rd, education should be likened to a 4-legged stool, where the legs consist of the administrative staff, the parents, the students, and the teachers. If one of those legs is broken, then a child's education becomes wobbly and they suffer. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
So I just wanted to put, I didn't know, this is more evidence, I didn't know they were going to be here. So I wanted you all just to get a feel of who Ms. Sams was and what her philosophy on education was about. So initially we started looking at the 6th grade performance in terms of their grades. Ms. Sams decided instead of just saying A, B, C, D, we would label them distinguished, proficient, basic, and then needs improvement. So there's no stimulus in terms of you're failing. We also focus on the curriculum framework. And the reason why we had to do that is because what we used this year was Springboard, which is separate from the Prince George's County curriculum framework. At the Ed Trust conference that we attended back in October, a very important resource that was shared was the Equip Tri-State Quality Rubric. We used that rubric to design and create lessons. to ensure that Common Core is being addressed on different levels. We also sit down and rate these lesson plans and these lessons to make sure that they're rigorous. Assignments Matters, another book that was shared at the Ed Trust conference. This book has kind of changed my perspective on how we're going to get these students rigorous assignments. No longer can we just give them worksheets, hand them out, and say, do it. We have to really put our heart and souls into these assignments. Go ahead. So we sat down and did a book study, and we didn't go through the whole book, but we just looked at how you draft and create an assignment. And as you stated here, you want to define the standards, goals, and content. You want to determine what your product is, so it could be a writing assignment, could be a commercial, but just a creative assignment. You want to identify the demands and qualities. You want to write out a prompt. What are the kids actually prompted to do? What do you want them to do? You have to have a rubric. The teacher is to do the assessment themselves, the test for rigor, and develop an instructional plan. So now we had a shift in focus, and you want to explain that real quick?
So originally I set my goals to just increase their mathematical comprehension to improve their achievement. But after the midpoint assessment, I noticed that it was no longer a math content area because they could do the math. It was just more so them reading, actually following the directions that I was giving them, and then just being able to persevere through the problem. Because my kids, if it's a multi-step problem, they'll stop at the first step and they don't want to continue. So we had to shift our focus in what I was focusing on.
Our instructional materials on the wheel. We utilize, again, as Ms. Sam just said, they didn't understand what the questions were